Hey, Soul Tribe, you will not believe what just happened. You will not believe. So this is literally my third video that I'm recording here. Like, as you can see, I had already taken off my wig, okay, because I had already knocked off for the day. And then only to find that the video that I have just recorded, I somehow deleted because I was trying to delete other videos that I previously recorded that were not, in the public domain. So now I'm having to do this again because I do beg your pardon. There's a video that's supposed to have come out today, and now there's none. Okay, so we are doing this for the third time. All right, let me drink water, and I might keep muting the video from time to time. And I might keep pausing to just go snack on something. All right, because yeah, it's been almost 2 hours, since I've been here, and I haven't done lengthy lives like this before, so this is all new to me, and I really do not want to strain my system. So let's get into it nonetheless. I hope you're enjoying your Easter. All right, I hope you are enjoying your Easter. um Easter, not a pagan holiday. I don't know, what does that even mean, that Easter is a pagan holiday and all of that. But I take it that whenever it is that Christians start calling things pagan, they are basically saying that they are demonic. But really, um, everything about the universe, about the cosmos, the earth, the about the seasons that we go through in the year, they are all um, they are all a story of Christ. Okay, they are all telling the story of Christ. They are all about the Christ. It's all about the Christ. You know, during winter that's the season where the Christ has died. And then during summer, that's the time when the Christ has risen, and the Christ is born also. At the same time. You understand? So this is a spiritual, it's a historical, and it's also an astrological event. All right. So it's all the same story. I don't know why the Northern Hemisphere celebrates Christmas and celebrates basically the birth or rising of Christ during winter. Which Christ is this that you guys are celebrating during winter? Because um, Christ being a sun god, I know that Christians are not going to like that. But the sun is telling us about Christ. There's no one else that the sun is telling us about. The sun is telling us the story of Christ, the Christ that rises every day. You understand? And, day and night is telling us about this whole play of duality that we are working with in our world. So that's what it is. That's what it's all about. All right. So I hope you are enjoying it nonetheless. We celebrate Easter because even though it's not a fun thing, it's not a pleasant experience when the Christ dies, but we are celebrating because we know that he will rise again, and we die with him and we rise with him. So for us, it is Easter season here because we are dealing with that whole autumn situation, autumn vernal or something like that. So we are dealing with those things right now. We are entering into the winter phase basically, and because of that, we know that our Christ is about to be crucified. All right. So it aligns here, this side. Okay, and then of course he rises again around September, and between September and the first parts, the first few months of the year, we know that the Christ has risen and he reigns beautifully, radiantly. All right. So that's that. But that's not all there is to it, isn't it? You know, it's not only telling us about the current events or history, but it also tells us of, you know, the future. And of course, there will be a time, because the Christ conquers darkness, Christ conquers death. So it's also telling us about that, about the fact that Christ in the future would have conquered death. All right. So there won't be that whole thing of day and night, day and night. It will just be day all the way. All right. So let me just look at my notes here. And, you know, literally, I'm redoing this whole thing. I can't believe it. Okay. So I'm answering questions. All right. I'm answering questions on this channel. I'm answering questions on the lives. Okay. So I've scheduled a few, you know, lives that I'll be doing over the next few days, because I'll be answering questions that you would have posed. And so you are welcome to, you know, post your question in the comment section, and then I will be answering it. Okay. So of course, I'm answering questions that pertain to narcissism. All right. So all other types of what you call this, spiritual frameworks, you know, for example, the cosmology, for example, astrology, and Christianity, and all of those things. I'm not going to focus too much on them. I'll really be focusing on narcissism. And so I want the questions to really be focusing on narcissism themselves. All right. And so anything else that I begin to, you know, add into that is because, of course, we're approaching this whole thing of narcissism from a spiritual perspective. But we are not doing that because we are trying to, you know, promote a particular religion or a particular framework. There is a framework that I subscribe to, and I'm constantly sharing that with you. But I don't want us to focus on, you know, too much on aliens. I don't want us to focus too much on a whole lot of other things outside of narcissism. Everything that we are going to be addressing on this lives has to do with narcissism from a spiritual perspective, of course. So now the question here that the Soul Tribe member has asked is, how do narcissists become narcissists? All right. So, and how the question goes is this: how do narcissists get here? I have had so many in my life, and also family member. How do they become or are born that way? My heart aches for them because I still love despite of all the evil and the chaos. Also, I understand high-level narcissists not being here on earth. Pardon me. I am more asking, what happens to low-level narcissists, the ones in our everyday life? Can they have redemption, or are they all reprobate minds? All right. So the reason why Soul Tribe is asking this question, as you can see, as you can hear or sense from the question, you know, she's concerned because she's got family members or people that she cares about, and she can see the human, you know, behind the narcissism. You understand? And I'm sure, you know, if you're a normal human being or an empath, many of you would have also gone through a similar experience where you can see there's a narcissist that you care about, there's a narcissist that you really do love in your life, and you can see the human being there. You know, you can see the traumas, the wounds, the fragility of the human. You can see you can even see yourself, you know, as a human being in that other human, isn't it? And that, of course, incites a whole lot of you know, compassion and sympathy and empathy within you. And you really, your soul cries out, because it's like, what a waste of life, you understand, for this person. And even more so when you have, you know, a personal relationship with that person, especially if they are your blood relative, your heart cries out for them, because it's like you do wish that that soul can be saved, you understand. So we'll address, you know, we'll basically address all these points that you've brought up here throughout the video. We are going to be dedicating the video to answering this particular question. All right. So there are many layers to narcissism. It's not just a isolated thing. It's not just about the fact that it's a psychological or genetic. It's all of those things combined. And so I'm going to be breaking them down here in this video or in this live. All right. So, and I also want to say that there is a video that I've already done, which is called what is it called? It's called Fallen Angels. All right, it's called Fallen Angels, and you are welcome to check it out. It's on the channel, and so it will give you more context with regards to what we are dealing with. It will at least give you the basics that you need to understand when it comes to the spiritual nature of narcissists. We can always expound even further on that, but at least it takes you somewhere. And so let's start with the fact that it's a spiritual thing. Okay, so narcissism is a spiritual thing. Okay, so everything that happens in the physical realm is a result of everything that happens in the spiritual realm. If there is a Christ in the spiritual realm, there will be a Christ in the physical form. You understand? And not only will there be a Christ in the physical form, in the form of Jesus Christ, but there will also be human beings that are representatives of that being. You understand? And then they are called children of God. You understand? So these are human beings that are within the Christ stream of consciousness. They are within the wave of life. They're still part of life. They are still connected to God. You understand? So that's what happens. And then we also have Satan in the spirit realm, the Antichrist in the spirit realm, isn't it? And so when we have the Antichrist in the spirit realm, that means we have the Antichrist in the physical realm as well. And not only do we have the Antichrist in the physical realm, because we still don't know who that is. We know it's a person by the name of Sorat, right? The Antichrist. But there's still more to be said about Sorat, who Sorat really is and what's his story. But we know that that's the devil. And so we've got that. And then we also have human beings that are also children of Satan. You understand that they are a physical manifestation of that Antichrist stream. So if you want to take, you want to basically make it even more simpler than that, we can say there are positive and negative forces of life in the spirit realm, and they each seek to manifest themselves, and they each do manifest themselves. So there is the Christ essence, and this Christ essence has its own people, its own physical manifestations. And these are normal human beings and empaths. And then we've got the satanic, stream of the negative forces of life. And so these negative forces of life, they've got their own stream of consciousness. They've got their own human beings that they manifest. Okay. Welcome. If you were in the previous video and you were wondering what happened there, it got deleted, and now I'm having to redo this again. This is the third time, as you can imagine. So we've got those negative forces and the positive forces. They each manifest their own physical versions. All right. So this physical manifestations, these physical versions of themselves are human beings. Okay. So biblically, how the Bible tells the story is that the sower sowed the seeds, and then there were good seeds, and then there were tares that were planted overnight by the enemy. And so the tares are the narcissists. I believe one of our Soul Tribe members even mentioned this in some of the comments in some of the previous videos as well, to say the tares are the narcissists. And he was absolutely correct. I don't know if it was a he or she, but they were absolutely correct in that. All right. So we are definitely dealing with two streams of consciousness. So we are not all children of God. Let's not make that mistake. We are not all in the same stream of consciousness. There are those that are part of the positive stream of consciousness, and there are those that are part of the negative stream of consciousness. That's the reality of the situation. We want to be aware of that, and we want to accept that reality. We don't want to be fighting with it because it's not going to be working for us. Narcissists know what stream of consciousness they are part of, and they enjoy the fact that we don't know. We don't know what stream we are part of, and we don't know what stream they are part of, but they know who they are. And so they are playing their cards nicely because they are covered and shielded and protected by our ignorance. But they are children of Satan, if we should, put it that way from a biblical perspective. And then there are children of Christ, of God. That's just how it is. There are sheep and there are goats. There are even wolves who are wearing sheep clothing. That's just how it is. This is something that I would have avoided to, embrace as an empath. I would have wanted to look at humanity as we are all one kumbaya, because as you know, when I welcome you to my channel, I will say that welcome, because we are healing here and integrating, because we are the divine human spirit connected to all things, connected to each other. And understand that because I know what I know that when I'm saying we are all connected to all things and to each other, I understand very well that I'm talking to the children of God. I'm not talking to the tares, because I have no message for the tares. I'm here for the children of God. That's who I'm here for. To say the narcissistic stream of consciousness needs you to believe we are all the same. It needs you to believe that we are all children of God. But we are not. We are not all children of God. Even Jesus Christ himself, when he pointed out to these people, he said, you are children of your father. And that father is not even Abraham. He says, your father is the father of lies. So are narcissists not lies themselves, because they are illusory beings? The father of lies, and narcissists are lies, because a narcissist is, if you've ever been in a relationship with a narcissist, you'll know that the person that you were in a relationship with didn't even exist. It was all a lie. Who is the father of that? It can't be God. It can't be the positive forces of life. All right. So everything that is happening in the physical realm is a spiritual thing. You're welcome to post your question. You are welcome to add any comment as well in the comments section. So everything that happens in the physical realm is a reflection of something that is happening in the spiritual realm. It's a manifestation of that. And of course, even this, we can go deeper into it to say this, negative stream of consciousness, this demonic stream of consciousness, it has its own race, its own, subdivisions and all of that. We've got, fallen angels, which are demons, of course. And then we've got demons, literal spirits, incarnate spirit or discarnate spirits in the spirit realm. And then we've got half human and half demon. You understand? Half human and half fallen angel. That's what we have, so all of these entities that I'm talking about, they are all human. And so when you are looking at them, you will not know that you are dealing with a fallen angel, because they incarnate in human form. They are born. Because remember, they are spirits in the spirit realm, but they manifest themselves in physical form. You understand? That's why I will always say this, that when you are dealing with an empath, you are dealing with someone that has drawn so much of their archetype and their template for their souls. They've drawn that from the Christ. You understand? So that the empath template is the template of the Christ. And people can go ahead and, ridicule me for making such kind of a statement, to say, because once again, there is this whole, being apologetic about the narcissism thing, and it is what it is. But I'm going to say what the guides have revealed to me. I'm not going to shy away from that. When you're dealing with an empath, you are dealing with someone who has the Christ template, especially if they are healed and integrated. And here we're talking about people that have been, doing spiritual practice for a very long time. We're talking about people that are, monks and all of that, but we're talking about real, authentic, genuine spiritual people, not the fake ones, not the ones that do some of the spiritual things for the sake of popularity. You understand? There you are dealing with a Christ template. That person is really like the Christ. It's like it's like Christ is literally reflecting, shining through that person. You understand? And then when you're dealing with narcissists, doesn't it feel like you're dealing with Satan? Because this person is completely reflecting the negative forces of life. 100%. No goodness in them whatsoever. You understand? So the impulse that they are drawing from, those would be the fallen angels. Those would be the demonic spirits. And then, of course, the half human, half fallen angel type, they are still also, pretty much human, and their gods are always these fallen angels. That's why when a narcissist or a dark personality, when they pray, even if they will call whoever it is that they're praying to Jesus, even if they call him Allah, even if they call him whatever name, they call him God, whatever they call him, as long as they are a narcissist, that prayer is not going to God. Because by virtue of the stream of consciousness that the narcissist is coming from, they are really praying to demons. They can only connect with that spirit realm. You understand? They can only connect to demons. They cannot connect to God in his true nature. You understand? So that's what's happening there. Let me just say this again. You are not going to see that you are dealing with a fallen angel. You are not going to see that you are dealing with a so-called, this half human, half fallen angel. They are called demigods. Okay. And because remember, we are all gods with small g, under the authority of the true God, because we are children of God. Okay, so this ones, of course, they really want to rub it on everyone's face that they are gods, because they want to be treated like it. So, and then the gods there would often be the angels themselves. You understand? So fallen or not fallen. And then, of course, there are higher hierarchies of angels and all of that. So these are all spirits, basically, through which the invisible, which source, basically, God, all right, has filtered itself down all the way up until it got to this point of the physical form. All right, so those are the more subtle versions of humans. And then so it all started falling apart from the level of angels, you understand? And then they started, taking their own direction, basically falling for the darkness, falling for the polarity which they were supposed to be, working with. They were caught up with that polarity. Meta, the surface level stuff, materialism, isn't it, the physical aspects of life. They got caught up in that. They got trapped in that. And so because they got trapped in it, they became the negative stream of consciousness. They started becoming opposed. They started becoming the opposite of what it means to be a being of light and a child of God. So that's how they became the antichrist stream of consciousness. And so the invisible forces, God, life, they said, we'll leave them be. We'll leave them so that they can, either allow themselves an opportunity to change, repent, or get destroyed. So we'll let them be, and then also we will let them be so that they can begin to assist humanity with, and not in a way whereby, once again, they are necessary. No, they are not. They are just here. It's like, okay, we are not just going to burn them in the fire altogether. You understand? That's why that parable says, when the servants came back and found that after the sower has sowed the seeds, and they realized that, wait a minute, master, you have sowed your seeds, but there are tares here. And we know that you only sow good seed. So why is it that there are tares among your seeds? Shall we take them out and destroy them? And then God, the sower, said, no, don't destroy them. What you want to do instead is let them be, let them all grow together. And then at the end, we will, separate the tares from the true seeds. And then we will burn them in the lake of fire. That is annihilation. That is dissolution. And here is not annihilation or dissolution of the physical form. We will keep reincarnating until this journey is done, or until we ascend. Those that are worried about reincarnation, we can ascend now. Like literally we can. Like if you look for the information and you do what's necessary, you can ascend at any point. You understand? But what I'm saying here is that, as long as we are still doing the reincarnation thing and playing this game of life, eventually we'll get to that point where, if we haven't spiritualized, and of course, how is a narcissist going to spiritualize? How is that negative stream of consciousness going to spiritualize? Well, apparently, as long as they are human, they still have a choice to do the opposite of what they are doing. So if they don't do otherwise, they will be destroyed, because the earth, the planet, the sun, everything about nature will not be conducive to their kind. It will consume them, it will destroy them. In the same way that the world has not been conducive to empaths for the past few thousand years. That's why many empaths have died. They were killed, destroyed by narcissists, and they were a minority. We still are a minority right now. We are still a huge, huge minority right now. But it was even worse then. You understand? For this past few thousand years. And so in the same way that empaths were a minority in the past, few thousand years, the Kali Yuga age and all of that, narcissists are about to become a minority going forward, because the scales are now tipping in the favor of light, of goodness, of God, of love, of connection, of authenticity, of true and real, genuine human beings, because we are ascending to the new earth. It's not only us that are ascending, it's the earth itself that is ascending. It's the Christ that is bringing about the ascension as well. You understand? So the sun is doing it, the earth is doing it, and we too are doing it. And the angelic hosts, the higher beings, the benevolent spiritual beings in the spirit realm, they're also doing it within us. You understand? That's why you are no longer comfortable around narcissists. That's why you are no longer able to pretend how a narcissist is abusive towards you. You're no longer able to pretend that that's fine, that's okay. You understand? It's because there is an impulse that is literally working within you, refining you and helping you to align. That's why that fake life that you created for yourself is falling apart. I don't know about you, but any fake thing that I've ever created for myself did not survive. Okay, since 2020 it has not managed to survive, and it is still not surviving. All right, so that's what I'm talking about. So we've got all of that. Okay, so and the odds were in their favor because of a dark age, but these are human beings, fallen angels, demigods, whatever you call them, demonic entities. They are human beings. They are born in human form. They are someone's child, and it hurts. Okay, it hurts because when you look at them, you see a human being, and you even see the traumas that they've gone through, and it hurts. It's like, oh my God, what a waste of life. All right, so, and I really believe that this is where this soul tribe member was coming from. The concern, that she was expressing here, it's like, I know what she's talking. I know that feeling of looking at this human being and thinking, oh my gosh, like, look at this beautiful, beautiful soul, and this is the direction that it decided to take for itself, and this is what's happening with it. It hurts. It hurts to see another human being literally, and not only does it hurt to see them wasting themselves away like that, but it also hurts to see them doing what they're doing to other human beings. The fact that we have to reconcile the fact that in this beautiful, lovely soul, we are actually dealing with a demon, a vampire, a zombie that is destructive towards themselves and others. That hurts. It's like when your loved one has caught those drugs, has fallen for those, horrible, horrible drugs that will begin to eat them alive. It's like when you're dealing with a narcissist, it's like that from a spiritual perspective. And I really believe that even what's happening with, this whole drug addiction thing where people just disintegrate and deteriorate like that, it's a physical reflection of what's really happening in the spirit realm. So with narcissists, you are really having demonic entities, zombies, vampires, but they are well polished, they are well dressed, they are articulate, they are beautiful, they look healthy and lively to the most part. You understand? And that's the part that is very upside down, isn't it? Like, it can really get to you because it's like, how do you reconcile that? You understand? But that's really what it is. And it's like, oh my word, you are dealing with a human being here, and this human being is everything but a human being. The only thing that is human about them is the physical form, the biological stuff, and of course, the background, the history, the storyline that a normal human being would be having, that they too would be having. But you're not really dealing with a human being. All right. So it hurts. It hurts when it's your family member, in the same way that it hurts when you lose your loved one to a drug addiction. It hurts. And this is the same kind of mourning and grieving that we need to go through for the narcissist of our lives. Because it's like this is a lost soul, and you have to release them to God because you can't do anything. And so you cry for that loss of a soul, and you plead with God to say, if there's anything that you can do, if there's any hope, please do something. But then you release control because you don't want to try and fix a narcissist or try and attach to that, because once again you are dealing with a demon, right? The human is far in some corner, far away there, non-existent. The purpose of the human being is really to keep the vehicle alive, the purpose of the soul. But what you're really dealing with there is demons. And so these demons, any softness that you are exerting towards it, they see that as a weakness, as an entry point to come in and destroy or harm you. You understand? So that's just how it is. It's all these horrible movies that we've been watching, they are talking about narcissism. All right. And in good time, humanity will wake up to the true nature of narcissism and how important it is for us to deal with narcissism accordingly. All right. So that's the spiritual aspect of narcissism. You're really dealing with demons, you are dealing with things out there, and you want to pray, you want to cast demons, you want to, for me personally, I envision demons burning in hell. I don't envision people burning in hell. I envision demons, because when you Google the internet here, you can see literal. I've seen demons in real life, okay? I've seen them. I've seen shadow people, for example. I've seen a lot of things in real life, like demonic entities in real life. But there are also images. For example, if you don't have images, and I really don't like to go into some other images, I can envision the shadow people, but I really like because I don't know, there's something that is captured about the images that they have on the internet about these medieval demons. All right, because how they look like narcissists. Like the energy of them whereas the shadow person, you don't see anything there. Some people have seen eyes. When I saw a shadow person, I didn't see eyes. I just saw a shadow. And that shadow was like when it saw me, like it was in some corner somewhere. And it was around a time when I was dealing with a narcissist, and there were horrible things happening there. So that's another story for another time that I can always tell you there. But then this thing, when I saw it, it literally, like, it just went, like, it hid itself, like it just shrunk into that corner that it was in. And the environment around it was so, it's like, how a narcissist terraforms their environment. When a narcissist is around, there's something about their presence. That's how you know that you're dealing with demons there. That's how you know that it's a spiritual phenomena. Because there's something that happens that it's always a little bit sleepy. If it's not entertaining in a very like a sugar high way, it's also it's either entertaining in that way, like a drug kind of, it's either that, or it's a very sleepy kind of a thing. And so in this particular instance, because it was in the middle of the night and I was going from one room to another room, and then there at the corner, that thing was there. Then the sensation around it was sleepiness. Like there was something heavy over me that was just basically, what was it doing? It was overwhelming me, isn't it? It was overwhelming me. It was sort of like exhausting me. It was draining me in a way. I prayed, and I called on the name of Jesus, and perhaps that's why that's actually when it started doing this thing. But that's another story for another time. So the point is, visualize them burning. So you won't see, so a shadow, you can't see it burning per se, but you can still envision that. But for me personally, I envision those creatures that the images that they have on the internet about medieval demons, because it's this funny. They're always smiling, they always have a smug. It's like this ugliest looking creatures, isn't it? Like the demons, the green, goblin gremlin looking like creatures, and they're smart. They always have a smug. They always have this, thing about it. They always have something going on that I don't quite get, but it. And then even as I envision them burning, you know what? They're still smiling. And isn't that how a narcissist operates? A narcissist could be going down, for heaven's sake. A narcissist will never admit defeat. Do you understand that? By their very nature, they are such an undermining force that even when they are losing, they will still want to have the smug on their face to convince you that they are winning. I've seen it even with my own eyes. Narcissists falling apart, but they will still be walking tall. They will still be walking like, I'm all dead, because they have that God complex. You understand? Because remember, the force that is at work in them is like, when you have been elevated to a state or a status of a king, and you are all amazing like that, but then you become demoted, and yet your ego is still living in that paradigm where you're a king. That's what a narcissist is. It's like a demoted version of something that would have once been great, but it has become a demon. And now that demon has and the reality is that the demotion is as a result of the fact that they got caught up in that illusion, in that story of their greatness. You understand? And so now they are, walking around like they are still what they are. And of course they will recruit all of us to participate in their illusion. You understand? And of course the narcissist will punish you if you do not worship their false image, isn't it? So that's what you're doing. So I envision that, and then I envision them burning in hell, because in that way I know that that's my contribution towards the narcissist that I might be dealing with in my life. By envisioning demons burning in hell, that means the human is losing, the negative forces that are in charge of them. They are becoming less and less powerful. They are losing their power. They are losing numbers. You understand? And so because they're losing numbers, that gives more hope for the soul. That's all I can do. You understand? I can't change the narcissist. I can't convince them to become anything else, but I can envision those demons burning in hell there, not the person, the demons. You understand? So Soul Tribe, you that posed this question, this is also something that you can do. Like, whenever it is that you feel really bad about this narcissist in your life, about what has happened to them and who they are, and of course, you feel compassion for their victims as well, isn't it? So for justice, you just want to envision them burning in hell. The demons, right? Not the person, the demons. Okay. See, lake of fire, and then them just dissolving in that lake of those creatures, those strange little creatures there, dissolving into that lake of fire. All right, because they are demons. Do you want to be compassionate towards demons? I don't know how far we can go with this compassion thing, but I'm not going that far. I'm taking it as far as the human. I'm not going beyond that. All right, the soul, that's where it ends with me. All right, so it's a spiritual thing, and then it's also a genetic thing. All right, so there's this thing that YouTubers here on YouTube like to say with regards to genetics, to say, oh no, but we can't be focusing on the fact that narcissism is a generational curse, because genetics are a generational thing. We can't be focusing on that because there's epigenetics. And yeah, I get it. Epigenetics means you get to change your DNA. But now tell me, how many narcissists do you know that are actually changing their DNA? How many narcissists do you know that are, doing anything about their narcissism? Because epigenetics doesn't just automatically happen. That whole transforming of your DNA or your genetics or your generational patterns, it doesn't just happen on its own. What happens is that this is something that you have to work towards, isn't it? You have to work towards that DNA changing. So that means you have to redo your patterns, take out those distorted psychic programs and replace them with proper ones. How many narcissists do you know that are doing that? There are few to no narcissists who are doing anything with regards to their, genetics, with regards to their psychic patterns, their psychological patterns, and all of that. They're not doing that. So that whole thing of epigenetics will not hold water where narcissists are concerned. All that epigenetics is saying to us is that it's possible for a narcissist to change. Because if we thought it was hardwired into their DNA and they are doomed because of the DNA, then epigenetics is saying to us, no, they can change that. You understand? But the question is, how many narcissists are willing to put in the work to bring about the change? Okay. And we can't change them. And we are not going to make any excuses for narcissists as much as we care. And we are compassionate. But we're not going to make excuses, because we always have to bear in mind that for every one narcissist, there are at least 100, minimum 100 people that are either dead, directly or indirectly, that have been betrayed, that are suffering. And yeah, of course, everyone else gets to take their responsibility, when it comes to narcissistic abuse. The victims of narcissists take responsibility. They do acknowledge that, okay, maybe I had this weakness. Okay, I did this. Okay, maybe I had my own illusions as well that I was entertaining. Everyone gets to take, responsibility, except for the narcissist. Why? So we are not going to, what's the word? Give the narcissist a pass with regards to that. We're not going to let the narcissist off the hook. The narcissist still needs to take responsibility. We're not going to do the work for him. Okay, so there's epigenetics there. If you can change your DNA, you can change it, but it's your responsibility to do it. It's not anyone else's responsibility to do it. All right. And then, some people will be saying narcissists will always be here. Come and visit New Earth. There will not be narcissists in New Earth. There will not be. The earth is transforming. The earth is changing. The environment is no longer going to be conducive to evil. All right. As it is right now, evil is getting exposed left, right, center. I know. I've got inside, what you call this, intel. So I know what's going on. I know what's happening, starting from the spirit realm. Okay. And so I know that, like, literally everywhere that the narcissist is going, it's like they're walking around naked. Okay. Because they are that exposed. The previous era was hiding them because it was dark. So the darkness was shielding and protecting them. Now, this era that we are in is an era of light. So they are exposed. The light has turned on. And so now you can see them. When they lie to you, majority of the time, you already know. And so where humanity is still struggling is the fact that, the traumas and the wounds of the past are making it a little bit difficult to know how to respond whenever it is that you can see that this person is actually manipulating you, lying to you, or being very aggressive with you, or doing certain things that narcissists are typically doing, all that mesmerism of theirs and hypnotism and all of that. So it's like there's still, a gap with regards to how do you respond, how do you deal with it, because many of the time, whatever it is that the narcissist is doing is a trigger to you. Okay, so that's why it's so important to heal and integrate. We are healing and integrate every day, as much as possible. We are not, basically having no lives and just focusing on the pain and whatever. No, we are not doing that. Mara means but. Okay, so but we are also focusing on, giving time to the healing and integration, so that, the more we grow and align in our true journey, the more it's easier. Whenever it is that we are seeing this narcissist, immediately we can see when they are guilt tripping us, when they are gaslighting us, when they are manipulating us. And instead of being, blinded by the triggers, the trauma triggers, we are instead, just present with ourselves, and we are objective within that situation. And we are able to say to them, ask them questions. Are you manipulating me? Why does it sound like you are manipulating me? And of course they will rage and gaslight, and then we will ask, are you gaslighting me? Why are you gaslighting me? Of course they will say a whole lot of things like that, and it will be like, no, I don't do well with gaslight. I don't do well with, manipulation. But yeah, thank you for trying, without being emotional about it. I'm saying it like this as if, that's how I respond all the time, but it's not. Okay, it's not. I'm still on my journey as well. All right, but I've come a very, very long way. All right. So let's talk about the societal problem. So it's a genetic issue, it's a generational thing. Okay, so let's go back to the generational thing. Narcissism is a generational curse. Okay, so narcissists breed narcissists, they give birth to narcissists. That's why you don't want to have children with narcissists. Okay, because that increases the chances of your child being a narcissist. And so some narcissists, it's like you only have one narcissist in the family. Others, it's like two or three. Whereas in others, it's like a whole entire family is narcissist. All right. So it's a problem that we are dealing with. As far as I've seen, every family has its own narcissist, at least one. I do beg your pardon for any noise that you might hear in the background. I hope not. But yeah, I live in a complex and there are people all the time. Okay. So please ignore all of that. Focus on me. So narcissists, it's like I lost my train of thought, so I'm going to try and see if I can come back to it. So Soul Tribe members previously mentioned, in another video that I've done, where I was saying narcissist, it's like there's about, maybe 1 in 5 human beings is a narcissist. And they said to me, and even now Dr. Raman is saying the same thing, interestingly. But here's the thing, they are all lagging behind, you understand? So if you approach the issue of narcissism from a spiritual perspective, you'll always be light years ahead of the medical field, in terms of like psychology. You'll always be ahead, because remember, everything starts first in the spirit realm before it happens in the spiritual realm. So if you have access to spiritual information, you know more than what science is later able to confirm. And of course, sometimes science doesn't even get there. You understand? So you can't wait for science. You don't hate science, you don't dispute science, but you acknowledge those limitations that science has. So Dr. Ramani is now saying that, okay, there are, 1 in 5 people is a narcissist, and she's late. She's lagging behind, because Soul Tribe member, no, they were saying here on this channel in the comment section, no, it's not 1 in 5. They were correcting me because they also have intel, isn't it? So they were saying, no, it's not 1 in 5, it's 1 in 3. 1 in 3 human beings is a narcissist. You understand? And chances are, the statistics might even be worse than that. It might be 2 in 3 human beings. You understand? Because let's face it, if you are an empath, how many real human beings have you come across? How many have you come across? Real, genuine, authentic human beings, not automatons, not narcissists. How many of them have you come across? Very few, isn't it? Like, we are still a minority. How many empaths have you come up? Let's put it that way. How many empaths have you come across? Okay, so that gives you a clearer picture of the statistics with regards to narcissism. You understand? So there are more of them than we are willing to admit as a collective, and it's because, I don't know if people are going to panic or what, because I don't know why would they panic, because majority is them. The dark narcissistic matrix belongs to them. It's theirs. It's their space. The dark narcissistic matrix breeds them. We'll get into that just now. But so, when it comes to genetics, narcissistic bloodlines, hey, narcissistic bloodlines, that's a thing. Okay, and I don't want it to be misinterpreted, but there's a thing there. So, the narcissistic stream of consciousness, we're talking about demons here. They want to attach themselves to prestige, to power, to everything. So the so-called royal priesthood type of bloodlines, which are usually those families that are sort of the ruling families, and it wasn't ever meant to be the way that it is right now. Okay. And it's nothing that we can even imagine in our own minds, but they've all been infiltrated. How do I know? Because they've told me. Okay. They've been infiltrated by, and it's not even a race thing. Okay. So it's not even about the fact that you are dealing with, Europeans or Africans or every single royal so-called royal family. And once again, it's not the way these people were meant to be priests. So the responsibility and role was always meant to be that of a priest, kind of, and not even what you are imagining a priest to be, or what we could be imagining a priest to be. So the whole thing was supposed to be something else, and narcissism perverted it and turned it upside down on its head. You understand? But so this negative stream of consciousness has infiltrated this, so that of course it can take charge of the world and take charge of humanity. You understand? And it has never been about race, and it will never be about race. They don't care about race. It's only us that are forced to care about that whole race thing. It's a spiritual crime syndicate. Okay. It has always been it's an international spiritual crime syndicate. That's what it is. So every bloodline is infiltrated. It doesn't matter what race it is. For them, it's like in the same way that gender means nothing to a narcissist, race means nothing to a narcissist, but they'll, make a fuss about, xenophobia. They'll be xenophobic, they'll be homophobic, they'll be everything phobic. But that's just for the sake of creating chaos. Okay. In true reality, that doesn't matter. How many of you know that a narcissist will be talking negatively about someone now? A few minutes later, the narcissist will be sleeping with the very same person that they will be complaining about. You understand? Because it has nothing to do with any of the things that we think. It's a spiritual thing. Okay. It's a spiritual thing. And then when it comes to that whole royal bloodline, that's a whole video that we can do. And if you want me to do it, you are welcome to comment down below, because that is some real spiritual tea, that one. When my guides revealed that to me, and they also showed me evidence and everything, I was like, like, you don't say, like I'm spiritual. Okay, I'm a spiritual practitioner, but I do sip my tea as well. All right, from a spiritual perspective, because there is spiritual tea as well. So let me sip this one. It's water. So narcissism is a societal problem. So we've covered that. Okay. So it's a thing. They've infiltrated bloodlines, and every family also has a narcissist, and some families are more narcissist, and we've dealt with the statistics. It's a societal problem because, this dark, materialistic, superficial age that we are living in now, it breeds narcissists. All right. And it's because of the dark narcissistic matrix, which narcissists have created together with their demonic overlords. And they've created that to basically rule over humanity. All right. They've created the narcissistic dark matrix so that, we have to exist within a paradigm that they have control over. And one of the things that I was saying in the previous video that, that I accidentally deleted, which is why I'm doing this one now, is that I don't know what you are seeing there right now when you are looking at my video, okay? When I'm looking at myself right now in the screen, I'm seeing myself as symmetrical, all right? But when I look back on the video, and of course, science has its own explanation for it, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. But this is my explanation from a spiritual perspective. So when I look back at the videos, I see myself having lost symmetry. I see my face a little bit like this. All right. So one side is higher than the other. Okay. And so I was asking the guides about it, like, what's that about? And so they said to me, in the dark narcissistic matrix, how you operate, it's literally like you are having to wear a stiletto and a sneaker. You understand? Especially if you are a child of God, there is so much of yourself that you always have to bend. You always have to twist yourself into some kind of a pretzel in some shape or form. And it's not something that you are even doing outwardly. For example, everything within the narcissistic matrix, for food, like music, like religion and spirituality itself, isn't it? Politics, TV programs, like society. Like there are so many things within the narcissistic dark matrix that are so distorted that anytime you participate, and here's the thing, we are participating in it because the phones that we are using, the light, the electricity, everything is of the narcissistic dark matrix. You understand? And so as long as we are there, there's going to be some kind of spiritual asymmetry within us. You understand? I don't know if I should call it a conflict. I wouldn't necessarily call it a conflict, but I'm saying there's a certain kind of a distortion that ends up having to take place within you, or for you, or around you, or with regards to you, whenever it is that you are participating in the narcissistic dark matrix. And so the guide said to me, whenever it is that you look at that and you see the asymmetry, let that be a reminder to you that you are participating in a paradigm that is way beneath what a true human being is meant to be participating in. So yes, we are not condemning the dark narcissistic matrix per se, because it's not for us to do, but it's important that we see it for what it is, because in the same way that a narcissist needs to break you in order to have a relationship with you, the dark narcissistic matrix does the same thing about human beings, or two human beings, for them to participate in it. In the dark narcissistic matrix, you need to betray other human beings in some shape or form to survive. You understand? You need to harm animals to survive, to eat, because, wherever it is that you are buying from, they need to abuse them for whatever reason. You understand? Because it's the dark narcissistic matrix. It needs to induce you into some form of compromise. It needs to compromise you in some way. A narcissist needs to compromise you in order to have a relationship with you. A narcissist will not have a relationship with you if you refuse to be compromised, if you do not lower your boundaries or compromise your boundaries. You understand? The narcissist needs that. Okay, so that's what the guides were telling me to say. Whenever it is that you see any asymmetry where there's supposed to be symmetry, you must remember that you are participating in a paradigm that distorts things. So then you need to be distorted in some shape or form when you participate in this paradigm. You try and watch a nice comedy show to just raise your vibrational frequency. What are you dealing with there? You'll be laughing, because the things are funny. But majority of the time, you are still receiving program. Even if, it doesn't matter how much you try to abstain from a lot of things that have to do with the narcissistic dark matrix, you still end up dealing with distortions and negative programming. You understand? Everything about the narcissistic dark matrix is designed to disconnect humanity from God. And you have to work so hard to just maintain that high vibrational frequency. You understand? So narcissism is a product of the dark narcissistic matrix, which is a societal system. All right, that's what it is. And everything in it is basically, distorted. Let's see. Narcissists are products of collective mind control and ritual abuse, war, poverty, disease. A narcissistic dark matrix is a breeding ground for narcissists, because traumatized human beings become narcissists. You understand? Not everyone, and not necessarily, empaths per se, and normal human beings, but let's face it, there's that element which we are about to tap into now, that next point, that there are so many stories that pertain, or even maybe psychological research, that speak to the fact that narcissists, are the way that they are because of trauma. Like, if you are born to parents who are in some kind of a war zone, and basically the womb that you burst in for 9 months was filled with terror and all sorts of traumatic, states and emotional experiences, what are the chances of you coming out of that womb being a wonderful, thriving, loving, warm-hearted human being? Let's face it, we know that the generation that comes from that era of war, they are some of the hardest human beings you will ever come across. And that's because of the environment that they grew up in. It's like that environment was all about survival. And there's no time for any warm and fuzzy feelings. And in fact, when you get all warm and fuzzy, you are annoying to them. You are disturbing to them, because it's like, what on earth is wrong with you with all this warm and fuzziness? Because they know nothing about it. They cannot relate to it, because they were raised up in an environment of hostility. And this is the environment that the narcissistic dark matrix creates for people. And it's intentional, of course. So, we are covering here, of course, the second last point that has to do with the fact that narcissism is a result of trauma. And you can see that when you look at a narcissist, that, okay, fine, this person, and many times narcissists will tell you their story, and they'll tell you what has happened. And even if they don't, you are able to see, when you look at a human being. But as I said, it does not excuse them, because we've all been through some kind of trauma. You understand? How many human beings do you know that live on this planet and have not endured some kind of trauma? And so the trauma that we've been through is no excuse whatsoever for us to abuse each other. In the same way that it's no excuse for me to abuse anyone, it's no excuse for a narcissist to abuse anyone just because there's been trauma. You understand? But it is something that we can also look at, because it does contribute to what a person becomes, but it's no excuse. You understand? So now let's look at the last point here, and then we'll be done. So narcissism, it's an individual soul choice. Okay. So over many incarnations, we've been here for millions of years, but in this particular sort of like somewhat physical form where we are individualized human beings and all of that, let's say thousands of years we've been doing this thing. We were there in Lemuria, we were there in Atlantis, we were in India, we were in Egypt, we were in Babylon, not necessarily in those specific places, but we were on earth during those eras of those cultural epochs, right? That's what Rudolf Steiner calls them, those cultural eras. So we were there. And the question is, what choices were we making then? Because in the same way that we are making choices now, this is what's going to determine who we are going to become in the future. So how a person ends up completely losing their souls, or their souls being completely disintegrated to a point where they have no empathy and no conscience, that's also a result of, a series of choices, decisions that this person would have made. Every time when someone hurts you, or when you feel jealous, or when you feel a negative emotion, you have a choice whether to do good or to do harm. You have a choice. Every time you are pressed between a corner and a hard place, you have a choice whether you're going to, harm other people, or whether you're going to do something else. There's always that choice. Sometimes the choice is the most horrible choice. Sometimes you have to choose between being evil or dying. You understand? But at the end of the day, it's still a choice. And narcissists have unfortunately chosen over and over and over again to harm humanity, to harm each other. Don't mind any noise, just focus on me, focus on my voice. All right, we are almost done. So narcissists have made that choice over and over again. We can even, look at the fact that when we relate with a person, and how we conclude that we are dealing with a narcissist here, is because we've observed a series of, behavioral patterns on their part, and we are able to say, okay, fine, this person does this and this and this and that, and no, that's very narcissistic. So and so is a narcissist. You understand? It's because there are many things that this person would have done that would have, created that picture that we would have formed in our mind. This is and you want to create that picture based on, what a person is showing you about themselves. You understand? And not only are they painting a picture in your mind, though, but they're also painting a picture for themselves with regards to their own identity. They are literally defining and carving themselves. And then eventually, we're going to get to a point where their souls are so disintegrated that, it's like a point of no return. Here's the thing: we still have a spectrum now with narcissism, mild versions of narcissism, and very, very full-blown versions of narcissism. We're talking about the combination of covert narcissism and psychopathy there. So there's still, some hope for this that are in the milder version, the milder spectrum of narcissism, for them to can turn things around. For example, this guy called mental illness, if everything that he presents about himself is true, the fact that he's really wanting to change, and he's doing therapy and all of those things, and he's helping humanity, he's now talking about empathy and teaching about it and learning to develop it even within himself, So I would say that this person, as much as, yes, he would have been a narcissist, he would have been on the lower spectrum of narcissism. He hadn't yet reached that point of no return completely, you understand? And yet there will be a time when people will become so hardened. And if your soul becomes that hardened, then there's no going back. That means there's no changing it, there's no transforming it. All there is for it to be dissolved back into source, back into God. That's annihilation. That means the whole journey would have been futile. Because as much as it can look like we are just here to live and suffer and all of that, but we are here for the Christ. We've been sent here by the Christ as the representative. We are Christ here on earth. That's why we need to draw everything that we are and everything that we have from the Christ. This is not a religious thing. It's a spiritual fact. It's a cosmological fact. It's an astrological fact. It's an esoteric fact. We are here for the Christ. And we've been on a journey for thousands and millions of years, as I've previously mentioned. And we are going to continue on that journey. But then there will come a time when we arrive. And when we arrive where we are going, it's going to be like this millions of years were literally a blink of an eye. And when we get there, it's going to be that whole thing of, these are the talents that you gave me. This is what I've done with them. All right. Like, we need to be very clear about that. Because it's very easy for us to overlook it. It's very easy for us to look at this whole thing as if, this is where it starts and ends, the superficial surface level stuff. It's more than that. And narcissists are well aware of what it's all about. Because if you check for real, what the narcissist is really trying to do in your life, the narcissist is trying to disconnect you from the higher powers, trying to disconnect you from yourself, and trying to disconnect you from life, from God, from source, from goodness, from benevolence, from, other human beings. That's what the narcissist is trying to do. The narcissist is trying to destroy your humanity, because without your humanity, you have no chance of ascending. The narcissist wants to, give you the impression that narcissists are how all human beings are, so that then you can turn around and look at the whole thing and think, oh, this is all futile. And then, like Job, begin to curse God. Job didn't curse God, but the intention of the narcissist in, doing what they're doing in your life is so that you can curse God, curse spirituality, see everything as useless, as nothing. You understand? And we all know, when you are in the heart of that trauma of narcissistic abuse, when the narcissist has handled you in the same way that that dog would be handling that squeaky toy and just tearing at it, once, if you've experienced that, tearing of your soul by a narcissist, you will definitely feel like, this is hell. This is absolutely futile. What on earth is this? There's no purpose in all of this thing called life. That's what the narcissist wants. You understand? And so that's why it's so important to heal and integrate, because when you heal and integrate, then you begin to see what the devil was trying to accomplish through a narcissist. The narcissist is the devil's army, unfortunately. That zombie, in that zombie apocalypse, that vampire in those vampiric movies, they are just there, and they are here to still kill and destroy. We care about the human. We worry. We are compassionate towards the human. But we are aware that we are dealing with some very, very, very dark entities there. All right. So that's that. It's an individual soul choice. Many people have gone through a lot, but they still choose to be good. So in closing, you can't change a narcissist, soul tribe. We can't change. That's up to God. That's between God and the narcissist. We are all co-creators with the divine, co-creators of our lives, co-creators of our, experiences and all of those things. We are all participating with God in all of that. You understand? The narcissist has the responsibility to do the same thing for themselves. Okay. So that whole, narcissist apologetics, and once this soul tribe that posed this question, I don't believe that they are a narcissist apologetic. I really believe that they were coming from a good place with the question that they were posing. I'm just saying, I know that there are other, narcissist apologetics who will be listening to me, and they'll be saying things like, oh, there's another negative, yet another negative video about narcissists. Like, how many people are narcissists harming out here in the world? Why on earth would this video be a positive video about narcissists? How many wonderful things have narcissists done in the world that they haven't made people pay? Because every time a narcissist does anything good, there's some kind of someone somewhere, some victim in some corner somewhere paying a high price for it. You know that. A narcissist cannot do anything good without wanting to make someone pay for it. You can't save you can't change a narcissist. You can't save a narcissist. And of course, they are no different from your zombies and all those other people that have been taken over by an opposing force. And so ours is to protect ourselves. Ours is really to protect ourselves and to remain as prayerful as possible, to exercise compassion for the human being, but to still, make sure that we protect ourselves as far as we are able to. All right. Psychic protection, prayer, boundaries, discernment, everything, inviting God, asking for guidance for every step, everything that we are doing. It doesn't matter what religion you are part of. I'm going to ask you, please. And I will never ever ask you to leave your religion. Okay. I will never ever ask you to do that. I will never ask you to change what your spiritual practice or anything like that. But what I will ask you is to invite Christ into your spiritual practice. You understand? I will ask you. I connect to Krishna a lot. I connect to Krishna. Krishna is amazing. You understand? And I also do a little bit of spiritual practices that can come across as if they are so-called Catholic practices. And I know there's a whole story about Catholic Church and everything and all of that, but everything has been infiltrated by narcissism. All right. Everything has been infiltrated by narcissism. So we have to know where to take the meat and leave the bones. So that's why I will never say to you, leave your religion or whatever. But I will ask you to invite Christ into your spiritual practices. We're talking about Jesus Christ here. Because every religion is leading to Jesus Christ, was leading to Jesus Christ. You understand? It was a precursor of Jesus Christ. All the religions that have come forth, pardon me, were precursors to Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ is a physical manifestation of God. It has been proven astrologically, scientifically, historically. Okay, I don't know about scientifically, but historically, cosmologically, spiritually, esoterically, and everything, Ali, it has been proven. So it's all about Christ. It's all about Jesus Christ. You understand? So, and how you are embracing Christ, you're not going to be like other people whose names I will not mention. Okay, and there's nothing wrong with it as long as you are not judging anyone. Whatever you do, just don't do it as a judgment to other people. You understand? As I say, Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior. But I promise you, Krishna helps me to connect to certain aspects of myself, particularly a timeline where I was still high up there. Like literally, whenever it is that I connect with Krishna, that helps me to connect to that timeline during that Indian epoch, just before the Egyptian Chaldean epoch, that era. I'm able to connect to that version of myself and I extract whatever it is that I have accomplished during that time. I'm able to do that through Krishna. You understand? Because whenever it is that I focus, on the Western aspect of my spiritual journey, of which Jesus Christ, to the most part, is somewhat, part of, but not quite. But you get my point. Whenever it is that I focus in that direction, it brings me to the present moment and, even in the future, and, it takes me to the heavenly realms, and it's beautiful and it's amazing. But for me to connect to previous aspect of my soul, things that I might have forgotten, memories that I need, and also there's a certain kind of relationship that opens up for me that I'm not able. So when I connect to, is it Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva? When I connect to those deities, and they're not demons, please understand that they are not demons. They are literally a manifestation of God at a particular point in time. So, and I'm not saying that, they are more important than Jesus Christ and all of that. And I don't want, this is a complicated topic that can be handled another time. But they have their place. You understand? They have their place in the same way that even ancestors have their place. Our ancestors. You understand? It has never been about race, because you don't know who you were in your previous lifetime. You don't know what race you were part of. There are so many things that you don't know about who you were. So it's not even about that. It's all about it's about connecting to the invisible forces of life, connecting to God, and how God wants to manifest himself to you. Sometimes he will use certain images. And once again, this is not you worshiping images and all of that. It's like it can get very messy, this whole topic, isn't it? But there are certain things that God will do to you, through you, for you, with you, whenever it is that he's taking you in through your spiritual journey. You understand? So there is so much of God that we deprive ourselves of when we limit ourselves to, no, I'm an African, I'll only do this, or no, I am this, I'll only do that. No, yes, you want to protect yourself from demonic entities and demon worship and all of those things and everything. But as far as it has been revealed to me, Indian deities, particularly the ones that I've mentioned now, and there are others, they are not demons. Please, they are not demons. And also our ancestors are not demons. You understand? So that's what it is. I don't know how I ended up going on that particular tangent, but let's ascend. All right, let's ascend. Let's get to that point where we spiritualize. Let's integrate. Let's bring aspects of ourselves that we have forgotten, we have lost. Let's bring them back together, and let's remember ourselves, and let's transcend narcissism. Okay, let's transcend narcissism. Narcissism is the only obstacle to our ascension, because of the distortions in our psyche that narcissism and narcissists create. All right, so let's transcend that using spiritual tools. I hope I've given you everything that I needed to give you. I've shared everything that I needed to share, and whatever point that I needed to make with regards to this tangent that I went on. I hope that one was made as well, because now I don't remember anymore. So I hope that Soul Tribe, if there's any question, you're welcome to pose it. But at this point, I don't think there's any question, because you would have posted. Thank you so much for spending time with me on this transmission. Until next time, remember, consciousness is the new frontier. Namaste.